Welcome to the Troy Kearns podcast. We talk all things real estate, business, entrepreneurship. Today, I've got the most special guest I've ever had on this show, the most dynamic person in my life, the yin to my yang, the ride to my die, and it's my wife, Eden Kearns. And Eden and me met, 2010. We've been together for almost 14 years at the end of this year. Or at the end of next year. And she has been not only instrumental in my success, but a major advocate for me in all personal goals, things. And one of the things that you guys don't know about her, and the reason why we brought her on the show is not just to brag about how great of a wife she is, how great of a mother she is, but she is, for the last 7 years running, an Airbnb superhost. She's also a real estate investor. She's also a mother and a marathoner and a lot of different things. Eden, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yay.
Yeah, so let's dive into it. We've taken this journey together, and you've become a real estate investor, and you have become now a developer, which is kind of a cool thing to talk about. Tell me a little bit about your story, even though I know it, but everybody else doesn't.
So my story from the start. So from where we met, or
from the beginning?
From the beginning. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm originally from Long Island, New York. Some people say Long Island, and I spent the majority of my life in New York, and I'm kind of forever a little bit of a New Yorker. So I have that thing that New Yorkers have, right? And Troy always likes to tease me, but I always say, like, if anything is really good, I'd be like, yeah, it's from New York.
It's like all good things were invented in New York, and all great ideas were invented in New York, and all great people came from New York. Other than that,
they have the best food, they have the best fashion. I mean, they're just on time. So,
and an orange juice is $10.
Well, anywhere. But so fast forward to after I went to college, and I was trying to figure out what I was doing, and I kind of just floated around for a little while in my late 20s and early 30s. Was really trying to figure things out.
So you're floating.
I was floating. And I floated my way over to Las Vegas. And there is kind of where more of my life really kind of started, my adult life. Even though I was older, it kind of started in Las Vegas.
So when did you become an adult?
Do I have to tell? Do I have to say?
Yeah.
No. There's different levels. You know, there's the responsible adult, there's the by age adult. I mean, a responsible, productive member of society was in my 30s. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. Good. We won't go late or early. No. We'll just say it was in your 30s. Okay.
You know, where I started to do some things, and so I got to Las Vegas, and the real estate boom was just happening, and my brother was living there at the time, and he's like, you need to get here. Real estate's crazy. You got to get your license. You make a mint. And so I did it. And I got my license, I got my real estate license, became a real estate agent, and then basically I was licensed for about a year, and then everything just started to tank. Right then.
Right.
So, I did a little bit of zigging and zagging, and I had bought my very first home, my own home, during that time.
Right.
And I paid way too much for it.
Right.
And I also couldn't afford it.
Sounds like a great investment.
But
too much money, can't afford it.
I felt like if the lenders were willing to lend me the money, that something was there, all right?
Yeah.
Should be okay. It'll figure itself out.
Well, if you would have held on to it, what do you think it's worth right now?
Probably what I bought it for.
Well, how many square feet was that? 1,800?
17, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably...
And I paid $400 and something thousand 17 years ago, okay?
Yeah,
and then it went for half.
Right.
So I had bought a house, I bought an investment property, and then the market tanked. So I had a zig and zag, and then
For those of you guys who don't know what the market tanking like, let's break that down for everybody. So you bought a house for $400,000 to live in Summerlin. You bought, if I remember correctly, a condo in Henderson. Okay, so what did you pay for the condo?
The condo was $200.
$200. So what did the house end up going down for? What did it end up selling for?
$200.
$200. So it went in half. And then what did the condo end up selling for?
I don't know. Those at one point were like in the 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
Yes, those were like exponentially inflated.
Right. So when we're talking about investing in real estate and everybody's like, oh, the market never goes down. Listen, in 2008 through 2012, which 2012 was the absolute bottom of the Las Vegas market, actually February, condos, and I paid $200,000 for a condo that went down to $40,000. Okay, and then my house that I paid $310,000 went down to $120,000, and this means that you had no exit strategy, and it was so much hopelessness going on in Las Vegas. Just everybody, and even the agents, even the guys who were dynamos, who were investing in lots of property, they were losing it all because
they let them go.
They let them go, and at that point in time, for me, it was a business decision. And then about that time is where I met you.
Yes. So fast forward to when I zigged and zagged, I went and I worked down in the industry in Vegas, which was like VIP hosting. And that just means industry means, you're working like in the nightclubs or entertainment and things like that. And so I always kept my real estate license. And then, I subsidized my income, or actually made some income by VIP hosting and things like that. So then when I met you in 2010,
right,
I was actively a real estate agent, but not actively selling anything.
Your license was active.
And I would go
but there was
to
no
the
transit.
office every day.
All right, so when I met you, you were on Frank Napoli.
That's
Rest
right.
in peace.
Yes, Frank Napoli, he was a great guy, and he had a great business there.
You always said that, and I would actually defer.
Oh, don't. He let it,
Okay, rest in peace. He was a great guy that didn't give you any leads.
He didn't.
You gave him 35%, or you got to keep 35%?
The cut was a little weird. And I only found that out when I met you as well.
Yeah, and I think it was 35% minus the actual franchise fee too.
Yeah, I was being taken advantage of, but I wasn't doing any business.
But he was toasting mimosas too.
When he was really nice and he had this really fatherly appearance, right?
Yeah.
So
he was giving you an allowance.
Anyway, so he was giving me all the condomobile leads, right?
That's right. Yeah, at that point in time,
I was like the queen of the condomobile. We call it condomobile, which is like a condo that
was the price of
a car. And I was driving people around, and I'd show hundreds, and I'd finally get a deal going. So
that's the funny part, and I want to transition there. If you know Eden, she is a workhorse. She doesn't slow down around the house, inside and out. She really, once her feet hit the floor and the coffee hits her veins, there is no stopping pretty much until bedtime. And then once that bedtime stops, it's like her hitting a wall, and then it's instant sleep. It's a pretty dynamic thing. My point is, when I first met her and she's telling me that she was having a hard time having success
that's right.
selling properties, I thought, I wonder why. And her answer was,
nobody taught me how to close.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to close. I didn't know about closing. I didn't know that there was actual salesmanship involved.
Right.
I thought you open doors and people walk in and they fall in love. Oh, this is my house.
Right.
And I'll pay whatever you say, right? So, real estate's a very interesting area where you go to school for a couple of months.
2 weeks.
You pass a test, you get a license, and you're set free. And
right.
I call it it's like you're a loaded gun out there, and you're dealing with people's biggest investment.
Right.
And you have zero experience, and nobody really cares because unless they're vested in you, but it's a very independent type of industry, and so nobody took the time to teach me. I didn't get set up in an area. I was working with investors, those seminars at first. So that's, So fast forward to meeting Troy and him just by proxy, just by being near him, just by hanging out with him, spending time. We would go running together, and he was at...
Still do.
Yes.
Went this morning.
When we met, you were at like the height of your real estate sales career, okay? I would say, like, you were at the height, okay? Yes. That was a pinnacle for you. Yes. And I was at the absolute bottom. So it was really interesting.
We didn't have a lot in common when it came to real estate.
It was like, he would be like, I sold 60 houses today. I would be like, I showed 60 houses today. So it was a weird dynamic, but just by being near him, he taught me, like, no, you got to overcome objections. You got to show them only a certain amount. They're not serious. You got to qualify them. Like, all these things I didn't know.
Right.
So I started to learn how to sell houses, close deals, and make money.
Right. So basically, fast forward, we fell madly in love.
Yeah.
We took it nice and easy. It was a very nice courtship.
A long one.
I thought it was nice. Nice and not too short, not too long, just the perfect amount of time.
We had 2 kids in the middle of the courtship.
The courtship included children, and sometimes that's how you want to see, is she a good mother, you know what I mean?
It all worked out. It's all working out.
Yeah, and so, and all of that stuff is true. And I should tell the jet ski story.
No, don't. And so then...
Are you sure?
Okay, it's fine.
All right. Well, just because that was the whole courting phase, like we talked about.
It was 5 years was the courting phase.
I know, but one of the first dates on the jet skis is a pretty fun. Just knowing how much of a adventure seeker you are now.
Right. We'll call it the things you do for love. Okay.
Yeah. So this is kind of funny. So we are literally, this has not changed much for me. I guess you'd probably agree. So we're, I'm like, let's, when you're dating somebody, you want to take them to do cool stuff. And at that point in time, I have a graphics designer, Ben Baca, still work with him. And I'm like, hey, you've got this jet ski. I want to take this girl jet skiing. So she's like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. That sounds like so much fun. And I was like, awesome. And so I remember we're getting there and I've got this jet ski.
Where did we go?
We're going to Lake Mead. We're in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas' only waterway is Lake Mead. Okay.
So we're
man-made.
Man-made Lake Mead, fed by the Colorado River. And as I'm getting there, I'm noticing that everybody's pulling their boat out of the water and it's very windy. Now, Las Vegas gets very windy and that makes the water pretty choppy. And
Vegas's bad weather is wind.
Hot wind.
Okay.
And we're going into hot wind and I'm like, well, this looks like fun still. And so we back it up. She doesn't say anything. We go in there and as we're driving, she's like, wee! And I always joke about it now because anytime we go to like vacation, I'm like, you want to get on a jet ski? She's like, no. But the funny thing,
it was one of the worst experiences.
It was like going jet skiing in a hurricane, pretty much.
And everybody was leaving, and we were going.
We were probably the only people in the actual lake. I think if I remember correctly, we pulled over and I got like stuck in a bunch of mud too when I got out.
But like the moral of the story is, I have jet ski experiences with you on the daily, okay? There are things that everybody is going in this direction and we're heading right into it. And I'm just right next to you, maybe a couple steps behind, but I'm like, yes, I'll
Well,
do
actually,
it.
the last time we were on a jet ski, the whole town was burning down.
Yeah, in Chelan, Washington.
Yeah, okay. We went. My dad decided to give us a honeymoon present, and he bought us, like, basically whatever that show is. We talked about it a lot on the actual
It's like the Great Race or
The Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race.
Where this is what we were like. My dad.
We were just running from fires.
So we go to Chelan. We get there, check in, Lake Washington, Chelan, Lake Chelan. We get it on a jet ski, and we're noticing like there's a little bit of fire up in the hills, and we're like, oh, cool. There's like this helicopter sucking water out of the plane, and literally within 12 hours later, the whole place is being evacuated.
Face masks, people wearing
This is before face masks were cool.
Yes.
Yeah, we were like looking for one at that point in time because you could not
We went
breathe.
to the fire department.
We did. We went to the fire department. And we ended up driving to the next location. The power went out there. And it was a crazy time. We've had a lot of great adventures. We just got back from Europe.
Lots of adventures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's always exciting when you're hanging out with Troy Kearns.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well,
it's not ever boring.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of fun stuff going on. And we just recently relocated and moved our family to Kansas City. I was like, are you down? And she's like,
No,
but you love it here.
I do.
Because at first you were like, why?
I go where you go. It's really, there's a lot of this is I trust you implicitly, okay? Yeah. You respect me enough that if I hate it, we'll go back home or wherever, somewhere else, you know what I mean? But I do trust you enough that if I'm with you, if we're with the kids, it's gonna be okay. We're okay. It's all good. You know, we're fortunate enough that we have the finances that we can kind of do something different. You know what I mean? It's not gonna.
Let's talk about that. So we built our own house. How was that?
Oh, that sucked. I mean, that was great. It was hard.
It did suck.
It was really hard.
But are you happy that we did it?
We love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a Shangri-La of our own. Right?
Yeah. I don't even know what a Shangri-La is.
Oh God, it's an Eden. It's a great place to be, a beautiful, wonderful place to be.
Yeah, we love our house, and we built it, and we're still finishing it. There's lots of things to do. It's Chez Ferme, which is the French farm. That's originally what we conceptualized. We built it out, and I just, one thing is it's too damn big. I don't even go to half the house. Most of the time. But I wanted to, before we get off track and talk about our next plans and stuff like that, I really wanted to bring you on here to talk about you being an Airbnb superhost, because I think that's the most value that we could add to our audience right now, is talking about, you were like first on Airbnb. So I remember Chris was one of my partners in Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana. We did a lot of stuff back in 2013, 14, 15, and 16. Haven't really done much since then. But when I was investing my time, my energy and stuff there, you were like, I like New Orleans. We actually got engaged there. And you were like, you need to get us a house in New Orleans.
So that we can Airbnb it. So we can have a second home and Airbnb it. And this was before most people did that.
Yeah, Airbnb is super popular right now. It was not popular in 2016. Mm-hmm. And we bought a house for $110,000. We ended up rebuilding the whole damn thing, put about $500 into it, ended up Airbnb in that house. And the funny thing is, and I'll let you tell it from here because this is where you really crush it.
What was the funny thing though?
Well, that next door neighbor was only getting $300 and we were getting...
Price. Yeah. I mean, we had a completely different house, but
But still, location, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just achieved Superhost status.
Can you show everybody?
No, it's I don't know where it is. It would take me too long. But I just every quarterly they reevaluate you, and so I just achieved it again. So.
How long have you been a Superhost?
Well, you know better than me.
7 years.
7 years, yeah. So 7 years, and every time I get that little email, it makes me smile.
Well, not only that, like she's the perfect person to be a Superhost. She loves getting 5-star reviews.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, well,
she's like in bed. She's like, look at this, look at this.
Yes, because I work really hard for it. I mean, it's a review-driven society,
right?
And so to be a Superhost, right? It sets you apart. If you are a traveler, it's the very first level of extra security that you have as a traveler
Right.
to know that you're booking with a Superhost, that
Right.
it's not some fly-by-night person, that they're going to cancel on you, that it's a scam, that it's not going to be up to par. And then, that being said, Superhost it's got parameters, and I wouldn't say it's loosely based, but there are so many more Superhosts now because it's parameters. It's like you can't have had a cancellation. You have to have 5-star reviews from X amount. You know what I mean? Certain things like that. You know what I mean? But so and then there's extra levels of things. And so what I attained in the New Orleans house was. It was a really pretty house. It was in a very nice neighborhood. It wasn't a super fancy neighborhood. It was right off the parade route, so the Mardi Gras, and that was one of my criteria, was I want to be close, very close to the route, and when we set out
That was instrumental. You really forced me on that one.
I did.
Yeah, that was instrumental.
And
I didn't realize how instrumental it was at the time.
We didn't expect, when we developed that house, we thought, okay, we'll rent it out for Jazz Fest, for Mardi Gras, for, a couple of the other big festivals that they have, and that's it. And then when it started booking, as soon as I put it online, I put pre-construction pictures up online to kind of make a placeholder for it, to set it up.
Right.
I had people book for Mardi Gras that was 3 months out with an unknown, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then we just had it booked every single weekend for several years. Right?
And let's talk about that a little bit. So we go into this market. We've never done Airbnb. We've never done anything like this. We don't know what we're doing. For me, and if you're listening right now, I looked at this investment as, this is going to be a second home. We were talking about getting a second home. I looked at it like, if it doesn't rent at all, we're going to be all right. Like, that's the expectation I set. And that first year we made $80,000.
Yeah, it was a big one.
And net, right? Or like gross, whatever you want to call it, because I think we took our travel expenses, everything.
Yeah, we kind of detailed it out a little bit and took a lot of money out of it. Right?
Yeah. So, but it did really well, and we did well because Eden's an excellent host. But the reason I want her to really dive down deep on the Airbnb is it's the wave of the future. And it's becoming so regulated right now, where and we saw this firsthand in New Orleans. First of all, I'll just say that we had Airbnb running 2 years, no problems. City got involved, started clamping down on things, and made it where you had to get a permit, and how you had to get a permit, you actually had to have it as a homestead, or it had to be commercial.
Accessory, so you had to either live in one of the rooms and rent out the other rooms, and it was very
And we got down
regulated.
to the point where we were going to have that done, but then it required us doing a signature, and we didn't feel comfortable with that, so we just ran it as a midterm and just ended up getting most of our money that way. And then we just unwind it, and we actually ended up selling that property last year for $925,000. Ended up being a great return on our money. We realized we were done with that market. We just felt like, Kansas City's great. There's so many opportunities with Airbnb here. And
so then I stumbled upon, we bought this multi-unit, this 4-story walk-up right in Midtown. And I had a friend who was a traveling nurse. And so he started to talk to me about where he goes to find his furnished rentals. And so you mentioned a site called Furnished Finder. And I'm like, oh, well, that might be good to do one or two. So what I did at Armour was I furnished a couple of units for models, right? It was initially as models. We had nobody living in the building. I said, let me get these permitted as short-term rentals as well. So that if I do want to put somebody in, we can. So it's gonna be like double. And then I did I put it on Furnished Finder, and I had some interest. And so right away, both of those units that were my models, they got scooped up. And So those are midterm. So someone was in them for like 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, well now I have no models and maybe we do more. And so slowly it just evolved to, I just kept going and kept going. And, so something I want to speak about in Airbnb, in vacation rentals, right? Vacation rentals and Superhost is, the house that we had in New Orleans, it was very easy being a Superhost and getting 5-star reviews. It rented for a lot of money. It was brand new.
Right.
I had high-end everything in it. I had amazing, the decor and the finishes, and we spent a lot of money in that house, on that house, right?
Yeah.
So
beautiful house.
When people walked in, they were like, wow, it exceeded their expectations every single time, which was so amazing. And I loved it so much. And they all gave rave reviews. Okay, so that was Shea Bell. That is Shea Bell. And that was easy to do because it was a top tier property. So now you go to
the bottom.
The midterm rental, right? Okay. And so what happened was
what's the difference between short term and midterm? Can you break it down?
Yeah, so the short term is, anything under 30 days.
Right.
And the midterm, not requiring a permit, is anything above 30 days. So when I started to realize that not only was Furnished Finder a really good resource to get these midterm rentals, that a lot of these people shop on Airbnb for these units.
Right.
And then I started putting them on Airbnb, and they just were flying off the shelf, just booking like crazy. But that now brings me to a whole nother set of where you really have to pay attention, is because these units were renting, when they started, Troy, was like $50 a night for a one bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
$50 a night is $1,500 a month. Okay.
Yeah. So originally, just to kind of go through, we looked at this apartment building as an $800 per door rental. That's where we based our numbers off of. And cool thing, just to kind of digress a little bit and go backwards, we actually bought this property from a 1031 exchange where we bought an under market property, and we made $750,000 on that property in under a year, and flipped it into this bigger property, used it as a 1031 exchange. And the guy we bought it from was planning on gutting the whole property and starting over, and we simply put this thing back together on a shoestring budget. In fact, if we would have done it with me the whole time, it would have been done for half the price we paid. But we ended up using somebody else. They cost us more, and then I took over and finished it out. We ended up getting it done for a pretty good price. But Eden went in there, decorated it, and the cool thing is, like I said, this is a very, not low end, but it would not be considered high end. So what do you call it?
No. So you can call it mid, right? It's on
apartment road. There's apartments. If you know Kansas City, there's apartments all over this particular street.
But Armour and one big developer, Mac, came in and gobbled up every single building around it.
Right.
And just left that little one for us.
Yeah,
so
that's it. Thanks,
we
Max.
took it. And so what I started out with it was about $50 a night for the very first midterm tenants, right? And it's easy to get 5-star reviews when you're in a top-notch A+ property.
Right.
But it's really challenging, and the gift is really, can you get 5-star reviews at a $50 a night place? Like, that's where it really started to come together. And so, I made it as cute as possible. I didn't cut corners as far as decor, bedding, all of just the little details. Everything is new and clean. It doesn't matter what the price is, you're never gonna find stains on anything. You're never gonna find anything ripped or deteriorated. The towels, you're gonna get good shampoos and products and things like that. So, and people noticed, and they started giving me good reviews, and I was like all over it, as I still am, to make sure that those reviews from the new property came in good, and then I could slowly start raising the rent. And it happened kind of quickly.
So
within
you started at $50.
$50 a night for a 1-bedroom, okay?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm at like $65 a night for a 1-bedroom now.
So that's like almost a 30% increase.
Based on the reviews. So the people were able to tell the other people. I didn't have to say anything. They were like, this space is great, the host is good, the location is amazing. And then really the most important part that I, don't want to forget is this building has no assigned parking. And so we were worried about that. Yeah. And I still worry about that. And we deal with that.
Yeah, so you take risks. There was no parking. We knew that we could get parking, rent it from a local church.
It's too far.
But we never did it. And it goes into a couple things. One, don't be afraid of taking risks. Two, this was never part of our strategy.
No, it evolved.
Just because of the Kansas City's cracking down on Airbnbs. We've got several that are permitted, and we are renting out most of these long-term through short-term platforms. That would be the best way to say it.
Yeah, they don't require a permit. We are above board on everything.
And I'd love to hear you comment below. Like, I think the way this short-term thing is going is they're going to start cracking the code on midterm, and they're going to start saying, oh, guess what? You can't do midterm rentals now. Now you got to go with our midterm. It's just all about the money. Rather than cracking down on crime and rather than doing other things, they'd rather just say, hey, let's take money from these people who are working hard. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this podcast with a friend, and make sure that you schedule a call with me and my team. We have the Millionaire Mentorship program. This is for newbie and advanced investors to get started investing in real estate. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, that's exactly what you want, right? You want to learn how to invest in real estate. It's changed my life. It can change your life. And we have a program that'll help you get your first or next investment property within the next 90 days, or I'll pay you $1,000 cash and you don't pay. Guess what else we're launching? We're launching a fund. And if you're interested, I'll include a link in my bio to this fund where you can actually invest with me on a lot of the properties that we're in. In fact, I'm in one of my properties right now in downtown Kansas City, in a building that I bought using my own money, but I started with just one property, and you can do the exact same thing that I did, but you got to get started. You got to take action. So whether you want to invest with me in my fund or whether you want to schedule a call with my team, both those links are in the bio. Enjoy the show. Give us a 5-star review. I want you to give your best tips and tricks for people to be Superhosts and achieve 5-star reviews. Can you break that down for everybody?
Yeah. So things that I look at when I go to an Airbnb, some of the most important things are number one, I think you all know it, okay? Can you guess what it is?
Clean.
It's cleanliness, okay? Be clean. Be cleaner than everybody else. Be super clean. Be spotless. I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. One stray hair can set the tone for an entire litany of issues, okay? Just make sure that your cleaning crew is on point, and you need to micromanage that in the beginning. It's one of those things. I still go through there a lot of times and I look at everything. Get a good cleaner, get backup cleaners, make it clean. Number 2 is bedding and linens. It doesn't have to be Egyptian 1,000 count thread, but it just needs to be, I get nice memory foam beds. I get them on Amazon. They're like $300. We had a guest stay over our house in one of our guest bedrooms. It had the same bed. He's like raving about this bed. He's like, this is the best bed ever. How much was this $1,000? I'm like, no. So bedding and sheets, make sure it's nice, it's clean, make sure that everything is newer. If something's getting worn out, get rid of it and replace it. You know what I mean? I personally don't like going into an Airbnb and seeing like a stain on a blanket or, you know what I mean? Even torn dish towel or anything. So just make sure that all of your details are in good condition. Nice towels, good shampoo and conditioner. Make sure there's enough. We've gone to places that
a lot
have had $500 a night places where we've gotten like one trash bag.
One trash bag, one thing of dish soap.
Oh, the pods,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pod of dish soap.
They'll leave you 2 pods. I make sure that there's always coffee, that there's creamer, like a little, get them started. The way you want to look at it is enough for them to get started, okay?
For midterm. For short term, you'd keep it all the way, right?
Yeah, so that they have enough coffee for however many guests the occupancy of that house is, they have enough coffee that you would use. So if it's two cups of coffee per person and it's 8 person, you want to have 30 cups of coffee there for their 3 or 4 day stay. That there's plenty of toilet paper towels, extra, dish soap, nice pots and pans. It's just, these are small things in the grand scheme of things that equal to 5-star reviews, and that is how you will raise your income. And then, I'm very communicative on a not bothersome type of way. I always check in on the guests at some point, usually a day or so later, to see, do you have everything you need? Because I've been a guest and I might not ask oh, you know what? We don't see this in the unit. I'm not gonna send the text for it, but if someone checks on me, I'll be like, you know what? I didn't see, is there an extra blanket? Oh yeah, we have extra blankets. They're up in the closet and da-da-da-da. So I'm communicative. I always ask for if they need anything, and I always ask for the 5-star review, and I ask how can I do better, and if I can do better, please tell me here in this text versus telling me in my review. Right.
And I think one thing that we've noticed, and Eden over delivers on everything, but one thing, this is like pillow talk a little bit, but she'll be like, oh my God, this guy wants this and he wants this and he wants this. So then you have the other people that are I will call these guys like the people who take their kids to the buffet and they buy one plate and they're giving it out to the whole family, because we'll encounter some of these guests and they'll get right under her skin. And you just had a couple recently. Let's talk about what they do.
Okay, so it's human nature, and I learned this from you a long time ago in negotiation, okay?
Right.
And you stated it very simply, that don't concede and give someone something in negotiation, number one, without asking for something in return.
Yep.
But number 2, if you don't have to, don't give them something. It sets the stage for them to want more and more and more, and they become insatiable. And I've had 2 in the last, I just had
60 days.
I just had a lot of people move in to the building on different, okay? KC turned out to be very big on internships and lots of students and coming for the summer, and that place got really booked. And so it's a numbers game. I had a couple of people who started out and asked for one thing. And for me,
what did they ask for?
What did well, the one guy at first asked he wanted more pillows, okay? He needed more pillows. I think there was 4 in the, I don't know, whatever. Okay, he wanted more pillows, so we got him more pillows. Then he wanted a fan, right? Okay.
Like a box fan, right?
Yeah, it was, he didn't want to run the AC all night long, and I was like, okay, good, because I'm paying for the AC, so I'm like,
well, that's how he sold it. That's how he sold it to you.
No, that's how I said it so gave him a fan. Then he asked me about more toilet paper. Now this is a midterm, right? So this is a starter pack. I have no idea how much toilet paper you're gonna consume. So I'm going to give you enough to get you started. You got to go get groceries and things like that.
Yeah.
So you need to get toilet paper. So he asked for toilet paper. I politely let him know that was his responsibility. Then he asked me for something.
Trash bags.
Trash bags. He said, this place is not equipped. Then I had to lay it down to him.
Well, and how did you lay it down?
I just, I had to get firm with him, and I politely but firmly let him know that, these are not things that come with a midterm unit. And I've rented out to a lot of different midterm guests, and nobody has ever asked for these things. I wanted to let him know that he was being a little bit out of the ordinary. And then I let him know that if this was not working out for him, no hard feelings right away. We can end this, and I will let you go with love. And he immediately responded with, "I'm really sorry. I just was trying to figure things out. I didn't know." So I kind of did.
He kissed your butt.
Yeah, I did the takeaway close on him. And I have not heard from him since. And I had the same experience with another gal who she found a piece of lint on the floor, and then it was all like crazy hell from there. And so then I let her know at that point, listen, if this place is not for you, I encourage you, I welcome you to go find another place at this price point that's going to be as nice and clean. And she said, oh, no, it's perfect. And I haven't heard from her again. Yeah. So sometimes some people, nature of people, they're going to ask.
Right. And so we just recently, so it was kind of funny, I don't know if you ever get on yourself, if you're listening right now, but when the person next to you is just hitting all aces and just knocking it out of the park. So we go on this trip. The first hotel I book with points. It ends up being, I know London's small. I had mentioned it to my wife before. She didn't put it firm, like, hey, we need to be in an Airbnb, but we know now traveling, like, in these places, like, we want to be in an Airbnb. But the two places I booked ended up being like lame, and all the places that she booked ended up being amazing, awesome.
They weren't lame. They were not lame.
My places?
Yeah, no.
Okay, well,
they were amazing.
The location of the first hotel in London was amazing.
It was a little tight.
It was a lot tight. It was the bathroom, and let me just give you a visual here. You guys can kind of put this in your brain. The bathroom was in the center of two bedrooms. If I was to guess the square footage of this place, I'd say 300 on the big side. Okay, so you've got a bathroom, so you can hear little kids farting and pooping all day long, and they don't like to shut the door. Like they're like, hey,
there was no reason it was so tight. But listen, that might be TMI. But
no, it's our kids. I didn't say you, but no. And so the bathroom's in the center. We have no room to move anywhere, but it was a residence. We had a good gym.
It was right on Bermondsey. The location was great.
Location was London Tower Bridge. That's why we picked it. Pictures look better than they were. And then we go to
I want to speak about this place. This is really important, and I want to let you know this is something new that I just learned about. This is new. Okay. So not only as far as tips, okay, you want to be a Superhost and you want to get good reviews, value is the biggest takeaway that I have. Don't overprice your place and expect to get great reviews. You might get paid. You might get the money, right? And
are we going to talk about what we're talking about?
So I'm talking about the place in Santorini.
It's funny. I just talked to a guy this morning who says he'd been to Santorini with his ex-fiance and his current fiance. He's like, that's a 24-hour trip, max. And I was like, yeah, we were there for 4 days.
But it's hard with kids going anywhere 24 hours.
I think if you're going to the Greek Isles, take a cruise ship and do it that way.
But what is important to talk about is value. So we left Santorini. The place was great. It was 4 bedrooms. It was fully brand new renovated. Okay, gorgeous. It had a pool.
I don't know if it was gorgeous.
It was very pretty.
It was a nice, good look.
It had a pool, a spa, a private pool.
Spa was lukewarm. Okay. Let's get into the details. So I'm gonna let her sell. I'm gonna adjust. Okay. Beds were not comfortable.
The beds were not comfortable. So this is number one. The beds were not comfortable. Now this is a 5-star Airbnb. It was $1,000 a night. Okay?
Actually, this will be one for the viewers to answer. Do you prefer contactless or do you want to meet your host? So we I mean, I used to kind of like to meet people, but now more hanging out with her. She prefers not to. And so I kind of
want to. Can we get into why? We got in at 1 o'clock in the morning,
right,
and they insisted on meeting us.
Right.
Not only were we tired and it was late and we were traveling intra-Europe, but we now had to meet somebody,
right,
okay?
Yeah.
So that was not convenient, and I felt like I was inconveniencing them. There was a whole bunch of that, okay?
Yeah.
Then the flight out of there, we were leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning again. They insisted on meeting with us to say goodbye. And it was
this is the funniest part right here. So in some of the reviews, it's like, oh, they bring you these great pies and they do this whole thing. And this is psychology 101 if you're listening right now. This is something that you always want to do. And I teach my students to do the exact same thing. And I'll give you a quick plug for my coaching program. If you want to learn about Airbnbs, buying discounted properties, click the link in my bio, schedule a call with me and my team, and we'll teach you how to get rich through real estate. And we've got guys doing it all the time and women doing it as well. But one of the things that is psychologically always works, okay, this always works. And these people had it figured out.
Oh, yeah.
He comes over, he's like, oh, we want to bring you these pies. Because we were like, we don't need to see you. We'll leave the keys wherever and we're gone. And he comes through. Nikos is his name. He's probably never going to be ever watching this. But Nikos comes through. He's about 75 years old. And Nikos comes through, and he had just stopped by the bakery, and he brings us these crappy, overcooked croissants. And we'd thrown them away, and I mean,
you ate one.
We ate like a half of one. They were, if I didn't kill them, they weren't that good, okay? And she's like, they just want to do that to get the good.
That's the takeaway. That's at the end of your stay. You're leaving with they just gave you something.
Right.
Now give me a 5-star review. But I will tell you that in all the reviews, everybody's raving about Nikos's homemade pie. I mean, they were not homemade because we know that because they weren't, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and he didn't make them at 5. Okay, and everybody was raving about.
He didn't individually package them.
They were raving about this because, and see, I could see right through what it was that
Nico was a con man.
So
he doesn't know how to troubleshoot internet.
I just want to really touch on. If that property were $500 a night, we would be singing a different song. I really think.
What was it a night?
$1,000 a night. Yeah. So we felt that we got taken advantage of on price. So a tip is, I'm not saying you need to use the smart pricing or price whatever, all the other competition, but be of value. A decent value if you want to get a good review, because we felt like we didn't get a good value. And I will tell you, don't let Troy Kearns be the one booking, because he's always going to give a less of a review than if Eden Kearns is booking, because he hammered on them, and I wouldn't.
I gave him a 4-star review.
Everybody raved about these people. The reviews were so glowing.
Danny, do you have my phone or do I have it? I'm gonna read through the review I gave them.
I don't know, but I would have given them a 5-star review because I'm a host.
So
I think he was so hard on them.
We're gonna let the audience decide.
And I mean, ultimately, a 5-star review is, did it represent like it was advertised?
I don't know if I agree with that, and I'm going to ask you as the audience. A 5-star review means, did I have a 5-star experience, right? And so we're going to go. Where do I go? My profile here. Thera. We stayed there June 13th through the 17th, and this is Renee's place. And
what was your review?
How do I find it? We spent $4,735.48. And let's see, where's mine? Oh, mine's not on here.
Well, they can't delete. She petitioned.
Yeah, it's not on there.
This is the second time this has happened to you.
Yeah. So my review is not there.
The only 2 times he has ever booked, of all the times, it's been kind of rougher reviews, and they've both petitioned to get them taken down.
Yeah.
Well, and that's BS right there.
Right.
Folks, okay?
Yeah.
So basically, she didn't like what you had to say, what did you say? Like, I mean, just like, what were the negatives that you pointed out?
I think I mentioned that we prefer contactless and that, I don't know, I just mentioned the negatives and the positives. I said there was no washer and dryer.
Oh, yeah.
There's no fucking microwave in $1,000 place, right? Like, so I mentioned that, and I said, I don't know if it was advertised that it had it or not, but I felt like it should have it. And the bottom line is Airbnb sucks.
Well, they're very involved. Airbnb, so my particular take on things is, as a guest, you want to book with Airbnb. As a host, you want to list on VRBO because VRBO doesn't get involved in anything. They are just a broker.
Right.
Airbnb gets involved in all of the politics of everything. They will tell you why you should refund somebody their money, even though your cancellation policy
Even though
is
they
set
burned
in
down the
stone.
house.
They will help that person get the money back. They're very guest friendly generally, and VRBO is just simply just a broker.
Yeah,
They just put
but my
together-
guest experience has always been that they take it down, and that's been twice now. I think it was yours though when I put the review on yours that they
It
took
was,
out.
yeah, because you wrote it. Because I refused to.
She won't say a bad thing about anybody.
You know, and listen, if it's.
I just feel like I'm doing the next guest a favor
Yeah,
by telling that.
I know.
But
I know.
that's
I'm a host.
yeah. So Renee,
Thank you.
not cool, you know. And Nico, those aren't hand baked. You know what I mean? Those were not made in the freaking oven. You didn't need to come by. You didn't need to do any of that crap. And we don't need to see you at 1 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. We don't need it. We just need our review to be published so that we can have an accurate picture of what happened there. Okay? Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. Let's wrap it up. Okay,
Let's
because we
do
gotta
it.
go
Way-
grab
way
some
longer.
lunch,
Yeah.
and then we gotta go. Okay. So, if you want to succeed in business and in life, you need to get yourself a great woman, and that's what I have right here. I promise you that. And if you want to succeed in business and you're female, get yourself a great guy. Okay. And find somebody who, just like a business partner, find somebody who's got different strengths than you have. Like Eden's highly organized, okay? And she is a dynamo, and she always is making sure that I look my best, dress my best, and always paying attention to the details. And I'm kind of creating this whole cloud of dust behind me, and she's there with a broom and a face mask, cleaning it up and helping me out. And that
But
all,
vice versa,
and vice versa. But that all started. We were doing a fourplex. I had a fourplex, and I had to do a trash out. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. They're doing a neighborhood cleanup. They got free dumpsters. Let's go out there and trash this property out. And I remember we hauled out like probably 20 bags worth of crap out of this property. Just garbage, diaper shit, everything, poop, everything, weaves.
Broken mirrors.
Everything. And she, at the same point in time, was smiling, laughing, and hustling the whole time. And I remember calling all my buddies that day, and I said, I got the one. And it hasn't stopped since then. So I appreciate you coming on the show. Would you give our listening audience a reminder to give us a 5-star review?
Yeah, please. If you enjoyed what you heard and what we said, please give a 5-star review. If you didn't, please don't give us anything at all. Just move on to the next
Move
one.
on to the next one. Share this video with a friend. And
Thank
what would you give somebody who's trying to start in real estate, and maybe they're listening right now and they haven't got much going on? Maybe they're you in your beginning journey to adulthood, and they're like looking to start. What would you encourage them to do?
I mean, sweat equity is always good, right? I mean, sweat equity is what I did with you a lot. Just, be valuable to other people. See if you can get in someone's pocket who is doing real estate, or just be around people who are doing what you want to do, and listen and absorb and try to help and be of value and give, and it'll come back.
Yeah. And you know what? That's great advice. And I can tell you what, get started, take action. Don't wait for something to happen, make something happen. And I definitely want to do a sequel. Want to get into more stuff. Owns lots of properties. She's a businesswoman. She is someone to be reckoned with. Don't want to piss her off. She's awesome as my wife and the mother to our children. And actually, she just came in. We didn't even plan on doing this. She just came in to help me with my VSL, right? And so she wants to make sure we get it right. And so anytime I'm in the trenches, it's always with her. And I think that that's key to be successful in business, is to know that. And I never had that before I dated Eden, right? And then we got married. Like, you got to make sure that whoever you're cohabitating with has your interest in mind and has your well-being in mind and is on that journey to see you succeed. Because a lot of people are showing different faces and they're really not sincere. So we'll check out the next one. Peace. Have you ever wanted to start investing in real estate, but you just don't have the time? You don't have the ability to get started, but you got the capital, right? And you want all of the advantages that the capital offers you. Well, I started a fund, and you can invest with me and my team. In fact, I'm in one of the buildings that I bought using my own money, but you could invest and actually get the benefits of investing with me and my team. Well, you got to be an accredited investor. And you've got to go to our website. I'll include the link in our bio, and you could start investing with us. It's super cool. We're going to do a lot of cool projects in Kansas City and around the country, and you'll be able to be a part of it. Make sure you give this podcast a 5-star review, share it with a friend, and take action.